in the very soul of the vast kingdom of Kandaya, where warriors thundered across red earth on mighty warhorses, and the rivers whispered blessings from the sky gods, ruled King Sefu the Iron-Handed, a sovereign whose name carried both dread and devotion from one border to the next. Sefu, fierce in battle and just in rule, bore only one visible wound, the cold emptiness beside his throne. Since the death of his beloved queen, the seat meant for his life's companion had remained untouched, draped in her favorite indigo cloth, gathering silence and longing. His council had begged, pleaded, even wept for him to take another bride, to secure the royal lineage with a queen, but his reply never changed. No woman shall ever replace my Naima. Yet destiny, or something far more malevolent, had already begun to shift the winds against him. One evening, as the sky bled into twilight and the drums of distant villages echoed faintly through the valleys, a richly adorned caravan stopped before the golden gates of the palace. From it emerged a woman cloaked in mystery, named Lady Moreo, so stunning she seemed carved from the night sky itself, her skin dark as oiled ebony, her eyes glimmering like moonlight dancing on river currents, and her voice sweeter than a lullaby sung by spirits. "Great king," she said in tones that clung to the air, "my homeland has been destroyed. I seek shelter and know not where else to go." The moment King Sefu looked upon her, his guarded heart trembled, enchanted, ensnared. But within the palace walls, his daughter, Princess Nyana, watched with ancient suspicion coiling in her gut. She carried her mother's gift, the sacred sight, passed from queen to queen, and when her eyes met Moreo's, she did not see elegance or grace. She saw a flickering shadow, warped and cold, something born not of woman but of darkness. "Father," she whispered urgently, "this woman does not belong here." Sefu only chuckled, resting a heavy hand on his daughter's shoulder. "You're being overprotective, child. Give her time." But Nana knew in her bones, Moreo was no guest. She was a threat cloaked in beauty. In the days that followed, Sefu grew spellbound by Lady Moreo, his judgment dulled, his mind clouded. Despite fierce warnings from his oldest advisors and the unease that lingered in the air like smoke, he declared his intent to wed her and ordered preparations for a royal ceremony. What none of them knew was that Lady Moreo was in truth Nolika of the Withered Trees, a shape-shifting witch from the Forbidden Lands who had lived hundreds of lifetimes by devouring the strength of powerful men. She was sustained by consuming their life force, and now her gaze had fallen on the king. But Nolika was not alone. At her side, always hidden in shadows, was Mbano, a warlock who had once traded his humanity for dark power. He had brewed for her a potion of illusion, laced with a charm that made King Sefu see what she wished: love, warmth, loyalty. The grand wedding came quickly. Nolika, now Queen Moreo, dazzled the court by day, speaking with soft words and moving like silk. But when darkness swallowed the palace and the torches dimmed, she shed her borrowed beauty like snake skin. Beneath the glamour was a ghastly horror, her figure hunched and twisted, fingers long and clawed, eyes like sunken wells of hunger, and a jagged mouth that pulsed with venom. Each night, she slipped through hidden tunnels beneath the palace, crawling into the wilderness like a curse released. There, in the thick bush, she fed, on raw flesh, on lost wanderers, on the sick snatched from village edges, on the bones of hyenas and jackals. Her nails dug deep into the earth as she breathed in rot and decay. It made her stronger, but her plan required patience. Each evening, she slipped a slow poison into the king's drink, not enough to kill, but enough to chip away his strength, his will day by day. She wanted him too weak to fight when the final blow came, when she would claim the throne fully. Yet one thorn pierced her plan, Princess Nyana. As the king faltered, Nyana's suspicion grew, and her spirit grew fiercer. She trained in secret with the royal guards, she studied the ancient books, and she watched Queen Moreo with a gaze that cut deeper than blades. Nolika knew, as long as Nyana breathed, she would never be queen in truth. One moonless night after dosing Sefu once more, Nolika returned to her chamber and summoned the enchanted mirror gifted to her by Mano, a mirror bound with serpent blood and secrets. The candles around it flickered with unease as she stepped before the glass. "Mirror, dark and deep, tell me who shall rule Kandaya when the king's fire fades," she hissed. The surface of the mirror rippled like water in a storm. Nolika leaned forward, lips already curling in satisfaction, but the image that appeared turned her blood cold. It was not her own face she saw, but that of Nyana wearing the ancestral crown, her eyes burning with purpose, her lips curled. In victory, worse still, she was smiling. Nolika's face twisted into something monstrous and raw. A scream tore from her throat, so loud and sharp that the enchanted mirror cracked down the center like thunder splitting a tree. "No, it cannot be!" she shrieked, voice echoing through stone and shadow. The chamber door burst open, and Bano rushed in, his dark robes flaring like smoke behind him. Sensing the rage that now filled the queen's cursed soul, Mbano's cloak twisted behind him like smoke as he rushed forward, sensing his queen's fury before she even spoke. "What troubles you, my queen?" he asked, breathless. Nolika jabbed a trembling finger at the cracked mirror, her eyes glowing with rage. "The glass has betrayed me," she hissed. "It shows Nyana upon the throne after the king's death. The mirror speaks of treachery. It claims she will rule Kandaya." Mbano's expression darkened as he stepped closer, his hand brushing the surface of the mirror. Though fractured, it continued to ripple with the same vision, Princess Nyana, crowned and triumphant. The magic that bound the mirror could not lie. "Then it is a prophecy," he murmured grimly. "And if it is written in shadowcraft, it shall come to pass, unless we rewrite it ourselves." Nolika's fury boiled over. "Then we must destroy her, before she ruins everything I have crafted with blood and cunning." The very next morning, Nolika transformed herself. She wore the face of kindness, the cloak of concern. Instead of attacking Nyana directly, she played the role of the tender stepmother. She smiled sweetly, invited Nyana for long walks beneath the palace gardens, gifted her golden jewelry carved with ancestral symbols, and even prepared meals with her own hands. But Nyana was no child of ignorance. Though she accepted the gifts with grace, she never once tasted the food. Her mother's sight stirred within her, whispering always, "Beware the softness that comes with teeth." Still, Nolika was patient, waiting like a snake under leaves. One evening, she invited Nyana to her private chamber, speaking with a honeyed tone. "My dear daughter," she cooed, "I see the worry in your eyes. Your father's condition is worsening. I have spoken to the healers. They say the roots of the alaku tree from the hills of Norani may help. But we must travel quickly, while the moon is right." Nyana's heart beat fast. Something about this felt off. "You would have me leave the palace now?" she asked, wary. Nolika placed a hand dramatically over her chest. "Do you not trust me, child?" Nyana hesitated, torn between her instincts and her desperate love for her father. At last she agreed, her heart heavy. That night, with only 2 palace guards as escort, Nyana rode out under the moon's pale eye, unaware that she was stepping into a carefully set trap. The road to Ndorani was one she had taken before, familiar, peaceful. But as they crossed a narrow path between hills and brush, a group of masked riders burst from the shadows, surrounding them like wolves. Before Nyana could shout, her own guards seized her arms, yanking her from her horse. "What treachery is this?" she cried, struggling. The leader of the masked men chuckled coldly. "Our regrets, princess, but Queen Moreo sends her regards." Horror gripped Nyana as realization dawned. It was all a lie. The guards drove their horses into the wilds, deeper than any known trail. where the trees whispered secrets and even birds did not fly. Back at the palace, Queen Nolika sat smugly beside the withering King Sifu, whose body had grown frail as old bark, his once mighty voice now barely a whisper. She looked upon him with mock concern, but inside she laughed. It is done. Nyana is as good as dead. The throne will soon be mine. But fate has a cruel sense of irony. As Sifu sat in his throne, his soul knew unrest. Days had passed with no word from Nyana. His spirit grew hollow with worry. Summoning what little strength he had, he called upon his oldest warriors, men, whose loyalty had been tested in fire and storm. "Find her," he commanded, gripping the edge of his throne with trembling fingers. "Bring my daughter home, no matter the cost." The warriors, clad in hardened leather and steel rings, mounted their steeds and rode into the wild. They followed every clue, every footprint, every whisper the wind could carry, deeper into the forest's belly. But what they found froze their blood. A crimson-stained dress, torn and tangled in thornbush. It was Nyana's royal garment, unmistakable, soaked in blood. One of the warriors dropped to his knees, his voice hoarse with despair. "She's been taken by the forest. A beast must have devoured her." The others bowed their heads. The wilds were merciless to the unprotected. With heavy hearts and grim silence, they wrapped the fabric and returned to Kandaya. As they entered the throne room, the bundle in their arms seemed to darken the very air. King Sifu's tired eyes fell upon the blood-soaked garment. He did not need explanation. He recognized the dress. He had kissed her forehead as she wore it. The moment he saw it, his heart shattered. A terrible cry burst from his throat as he clutched his chest, the weight of grief too great for his ailing body. The great king, who had never bowed in war, fell to the ground, not from blade or poison, but from the unbearable ache of a father who believed he had lost his child. The palace guards rushed to his side as shadows closed in once more. The king's healers moved quickly, lifting the broken body of King Sifu and carrying him gently to his chambers, but their hands were helpless against the wound carved by grief. The royal healers worked without rest, mixing roots and chants, placing steaming herbs on his chest, but it was all in vain. The damage had already burrowed deep. King Sifu now lay bedridden, his body weakened by heartbreak, his spirit floating between sleep and sorrow. In the hallway just beyond the healing room, Queen Nolika stood in the shadows, her face veiled in mourning, but behind the black lace curled a wicked smile. "The fool is nearly dead," she thought, her joy hidden behind ceremonial silence. That very night, while the palace wept and the kingdom lowered its flags, Nolika struck. She summoned the elders and high chiefs into the grand council hall, forcing them to kneel and swear their loyalty in the name of continuity. Her voice calm and measured, she passed her first decree. From this day forward, every household in Kandaya must pay double in taxes to sustain the kingdom during its time of grief. The chiefs exchanged uneasy glances, but none dared speak. The queen was now a cobra in silks. Her second decree fell like a storm. Half of all farm produce shall be delivered to the palace as tribute. Across the kingdom, a cry of anguish spread like wildfire. Farmers who could barely feed their children watched their granaries empty into royal carts. Mothers sobbed over thin pots, fathers clenched fists in silence. The people whispered in their huts, "This queen has cursed us all." But no one dared speak too loudly. Those who did disappeared without a trace. Meanwhile, deep beyond the known roads of Kandaya, where the trees stood thick and old, and even the wind dared not whistle, the kidnappers who had taken Princess Nyana reached a lonely clearing hidden from all paths. The moon was high, the time had come. The leader sneered as he dragged her forward. "This is your end, princess," he hissed. Nyana, bruised but unbroken, dropped to her knees, her hands still bound. "Please," she said, voice trembling, Spare me, and I will reward you more than the witch ever could." But the man only laughed. "Queen Moreo paid us in gold soaked in magic. We need nothing else." The blade rose into the air. Nyana closed her eyes, and then a whisper, a hiss of death. An arrow tore through the air and struck the man's throat with a wet crunch. He collapsed, gasping, gurgling. Panic surged. Another arrow, then another. The forest answered with vengeance. Within moments, 3 men lay dead in the dirt, their bodies twitching. "Who's there?" The last bandit screamed, his sword shaking. From the shadows stepped a tall figure, broad-shouldered and silent, eyes glowing silver under the moon. His bow still drawn, face marked with the paint of the wild. It was O'Battle, the ghost hunter of the western wind. Nyana gasped, "Abba!" The last kidnappers fled in terror at the sight of him. O'Battle rushed forward, cut her ropes with a single motion. "Are you harmed?" he asked, his voice a low thunder. Nyana shook her head, swallowing hard. "You saved me. But we must go. The Queen, she's poisoning my father. She sent them to kill me. We must return before it's too late." O'Battle's face turned grim. "Then we ride. The witch won't wait. Neither shall we." Together, they vanished into the darkness, the forest bending around them as if eager to see justice served. But the path was not free. As they neared the border of Kandaya, where the wild trees gave way to royal lands, a cold wind swept through the leaves, and the forest grew deathly quiet. From the mist ahead stepped a figure, cloaked, floating, its presence thick with old magic. Glowing eyes like twin flames pierced the dark. Nyana clutched O'Battle's arm. Who are you?" she whispered. The figure's voice echoed like 1,000 ghostly winds. "I am the guardian of Kandaya. I have walked this land since time itself learned to move. Turn back, daughter of the king. If you enter unprepared, death will take you." O'Battle stepped forward, firm. "We have no choice. The king is dying. The queen is a monster wearing skin. We must end this." The spirit's gaze dimmed, the air growing heavy. "You do not understand. She's no longer just a witch. She has merged with the ancient darkness. Her power is now fed by the souls she's consumed. Mortals cannot face what she has become." A shiver ran down Nyana's spine. "Then tell me what I must do," she begged. The spirit slowly raised a ghostly hand and pointed eastward, beyond the horizon. "You must go to the sacred river of the ghost deer, bathe in its waters, drink its silence. There, your soul will be fortified with the light of your ancestors. Only then may you return to face her and survive." Nyana nodded, determination igniting in her chest like flame. "Then show us the way." The guardian vanished into mist, but a silver path of leaves lit before them. And so began the true battle for Kandaya's soul. "Queen Eternal," she whispered to herself, her voice curling like smoke in the candlelight. But far from the palace, deep in the wild forest beyond the reach of shadows, Princess Nyana and O'Battle stood before the guardian spirit's fading form, its final words echoing in their ears. "Only when you are strengthened by the rivers power can you stand against her." O'Battle glanced at Nyana, concern etched into the lines of his face. "We don't have time." But Nyana stepped forward, her voice calm and unshaken. "Then we make time," she said. "If this is the only way to stop her, then we go." The spirit nodded slowly, its ghostly form dissolving into mist. "Then go, and may the gods of Kandaya walk with you." As silence fell, Nyana and O'Battle exchanged a look. Their journey was not ending, it was only beginning. Elsewhere, 2 surviving kidnappers ran breathlessly through the wilderness, the terror of O'Battle's arrows still burning in their minds. They finally stopped, gasping. Ike, the taller of the 2, wiped his brow. "We return to the palace," he panted. "Tell the queen the job is done. She paid us, and we must deliver." Ain's eyes widened with fear. "You fool. That woman." is not human. If we lie, she know, and she kill us. Ik scoffed. Then what? Run like scared dogs? Ain stepped back, breathing heavily. Yes, that's exactly what I plan to do. I'll vanish into my mother's village. She never find me there. Ik gave a cold laugh. Run then. But I will collect my gold. With that, he turned toward the palace, while Ain disappeared into the trees. That evening Queen Nolika sat upon the throne of Kandaya, her fingers tapping in rhythm against the carved wood as she awaited news. The doors swung open. Ik entered, bowed, and announced, "My queen, the mission is complete. The princess is dead." For the first time since she'd claimed the crown, Nolika laughed, not politely, but fully, a deep and gloating sound of dark triumph. That night, she visited Ik in his quarters, wrapped in a cloth of silk that clung to her like a second skin. Her smile was slow, dangerous. "You've pleased me, warrior," she whispered, stepping close, her words like venom. "Wrapped in honey." Ik swallowed hard, caught between pride and desire. He never saw the glint of the dagger hidden in her hand. She leaned in, whispered in his ear, then struck. Her blade cut swift and clean across his throat. Blood spilled like wine. As he fell to his knees, staring at her with wide, dying eyes, she whispered, "Loose ends must always be silenced." Later, alone in her chamber, Queen Nolika stood before her enchanted mirror once more. Her fingertips grazed its cold surface. "Mirror, mirror on the wall," she breathed. "Who shall rule Kandaya when the king's breath fails?" The glass flickered. She waited, smiling, expecting her own reflection. But once again, the image shifted. And there she was, Nyana, the princess who would not die, wearing her crown, her eyes blazing with defiance. Nolika's smile vanished. "Impossible!" She roared, slamming her palm against the mirror. Behind her, the sorcerer Bano stepped from the shadows, his face pale. "You told me she was dead," Nolika snapped. Bano's eyes narrowed. "If she were truly gone, the mirror would show you. But it does not lie. She still breathes." Nolika clenched her fist so tightly her nails drew blood. "Then find her, now." Bano obeyed, summoning a force from the underworld. A wraith-like spirit born of death itself. Through the mirror's surface, the spirit saw the distant village where Nyana was hidden. Without mercy, it descended upon it like a black wind, sweeping through streets and huts, slaughtering all in its path. Men, women, even children, no one was spared. Screams tore through the night air as fire and shadow consumed the village. But within the chaos, the high priestess, Nyana's hidden guardian, acted swiftly. She was old, yes, but her power was still sharp. She stood before Nyana, chanted ancient words, and from her hands burst an illusion, a perfect image of Nyana, breathing, blinking, moving. As the real Nyana vanished into the mist with the priestess, the false Nyana stood firm, waiting. The spirit struck. With one blow, it obliterated the illusion, the fake princess collapsing to the blood-soaked ground. From the palace, Queen Nolika watched through the mirror, laughing with mad delight. "She is finally dead," she whispered. "Now only the king remains. And when he is gone, no one will ever stand in my way again." And so it was that Queen Nolika, believing her rise to power complete, wasted no time sealing her final treachery. At dawn, she ordered a final meal to be served to the ailing King Safu. This time, no slow poison, no calculated weakening. She desired a swift end. In the quiet of morning, with the palace blanketed in silence, the king ate his final meal. The poison worked quickly, slipping through his blood like a whisper in the dark. That night, the mighty king of Kandaya drifted into a deep sleep and never awoke. With sunrise came sorrow. The king's lifeless body was found by his attendants, and the ancient Ejulwo drum was sounded. Its haunting echo rolled over the hills and through the valleys, carrying one message: the king is dead. Cries erupted across the kingdom. The town crier wailed the news through every street and village, and the people wept, tearing their clothes, throwing dust upon their heads, and begging the ancestors for answers. Have the gods forsaken us? They cried. Is this our punishment? First the princes, then the king. With Seifu's death, their last hope seemed to crumble. High above, Queen Nulika watched from the palace balcony, lips curled in a quiet, cruel smile. Her plan had succeeded. The throne at last was hers. That very day, she summoned the council of elders, the sacred kingmakers, and stood before them draped in black and gold, her voice like velvet soaked in venom. The king is dead, she declared. Crown me now. But the council hesitated. One elder, thin and bent with wisdom, stepped forward. Elder Amani, voice cracking but clear. My queen, he said slowly, the laws of our ancestors are clear. You bore no heir. The princess is gone. The crown must pass to another royal bloodline. The silence that followed was deep and suffocating. Nolika's face twisted with fury. Without a word, she raised her hand, and two elders dropped dead, their bodies hitting the floor with finality. Gasps rang through the hall. The remaining elders fell to their knees, voices trembling. Mercy, my queen! Mercy, they begged. Nolika crossed her arms and smiled. You will crown me at dawn, she said coldly, or your bones will join theirs. Terrified, the elders nodded, and that evening, the town crier delivered the proclamation. People of Kandaya, come! By order of the crown, all must gather at the palace for the coronation of your new ruler. Let no one work, let no soul wander. Come, young and old, and witness your queen. The next morning, the palace courtyard overflowed with villagers. Fear gripped every heart. They stood silent as Nolika, robed in black fire, knelt before the kingmaker. With hands shaking, the elder placed the sacred neck beads upon her shoulders, tied the ankle beads, and lifted the golden crown above her head. But then, a voice cut through the air like lightning. Stop! It rang out, clear and commanding. All turned. Nolika froze. There, at the palace gate, stood Princess Nyana. Alive, radiant, crowned in ancestral light. Gasps broke like waves. Nolika's eyes widened in horror. No! No, this cannot be, she screamed. I saw you die. I watched them kill you. In a fury, she thrust her hand forward, releasing a burst of black magic meant to tear Nyana apart. But the moment the energy struck Nyana's body, it exploded into golden flame and vanished. Nolika stumbled backward, stunned. From the shadows Mbano emerged, summoning his own magic, but Nyana stood unshaken, her eyes glowing like twin suns, the sacred river's power coursing through her. His spells bounced off her like dust in a storm. Before he could retreat, Nyana raised her hand, and from her palm burst a brilliant light. The golden fire engulfed Nolika, and the truth could no longer hide. Her skin peeled, cracked, melted away, revealing the ancient beast beneath, a decayed, hollow-eyed witch of the underworld. Screams echoed from the villagers as they scattered in terror. Their queen, their ruler, had never been human. As she shrieked and convulsed, Nyana stepped forward, voice resolute. You will never deceive this land again. And with one final scream, Nolika burst into mist and vanished from existence. Mbano turned to flee, but the river's light struck again, and in a flash of ash and dust, he was no more. The courtyard erupted in cheers. The witch was gone. The sorcerer had fallen, and their true heir had returned, stronger than ever, the spirit of the ancestors flowing through her. The kingmaker, eyes filled with tears, stepped forward. By the laws of the ancestors, he said, voice shaking, I now crown you King Nyana of Kandaya. He placed the crown on her head, and the people exploded into joy. They sang songs that hadn't been heard in decades. They danced, They wept, they praised the heavens. Peace returned to the land, and under King Nana's rule, Kandaya flourished for generations to come, healed by a queen forged in darkness, crowned in light, and remembered forever.